So, Tamisha, you've worn many hats: artist, songwriter, performer, radio personality as well. But at the core of it all, who is Tamisha Waden?
Good question. I am, have to say this, an eagle.
Eagle Pride Amplified.
Yes, Eagle Pride Amplified. I'm an eagle. At my core, I'm just Tamisha. What you see is what you get. There's no gimmick. The person you meet is who I always am. The bubbly, just every day, always trying to help others. Always trying to see others, you know what I mean? Just spreading love, spreading joy. That's me at my core.
Yes, definitely. I feel that like energy, especially when we first met. I think we were like going through like the morning jazz hosts and stuff like that, which we're gonna get into later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like, bring great energy. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, let's go back a little bit. So you're a proud Durham native.
I am. Indeed.
So what was it like growing up in the city with a rich musical and cultural history?
Growing up here, I'm telling you, it is. I'm proud. I'm just like you just said. I'm a proud native. I grew up in the church first and foremost. And my father's a pastor, and so my roots began here in my father's church. And a little known fact, of course, I was a baby at the time, but John P. Key, who is also a native of Durham, North Carolina, was my father's musician at the time at his church. And he also has ties to Shirley Caesar, who at one point I understand was attending. Now, of course, I was younger, so I wouldn't have known. But I grew up listening to their music. And, of course, years later, getting to meet him and even work with a gospel group who ended up opening and doing some of his concerts that he would do with his choir and things like that in Charlotte. Because, of course, he migrated and moved there. So, but growing up here with the rich history, musical history, here in Durham, North Carolina, has just been like a testament, like to my life, like in my involvement in the arts. It's like I got bit by the bug early.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it did not let go. So.
Wow. Yeah. I would say I can see how this city would like shape a person's kind of perspective on, just the arts in general. But like, I want you to touch on like how has it shaped you as an artist that you have became now? So
as an artist, of course, it's taught me to, of course, be loud and be proud, not only about the music, but about the social issues that we face. And, I think Nina Simone is the one that said it. The artist's job is to reflect the times with their music. That is our job. And so I've taken a page out of her book, who she's also a North Carolina native. Exactly. Maybe not Durham, but she's from North Carolina. And we do claim her and love her. And it's really taught me to really lean into that. And not just that, but to really hone the craft, which is why I eventually, beyond high school, came to North Carolina Central University to study music, and hold 2 bachelor's degrees in music. And so it's just really taught me to stay true to the art, stay true to the form, the art form, the music. And it's a part of every part. It's a part of everything I do. So can't get away from that. So.
Right. Yes. I feel like, whenever you do pick up a craft, it's something that like just it comes a part of you, at the end of the day, does. Rather it just kind of shapes everything that you do in some sort of way. But I think it's a piece of like, self-care in that way too. But you had mentioned that you go to you went to NCCU, had a dual degree. My question is like, what drew you to NCCU?
Truthfully, it was the fear of leaving. It was the fear after high school of leaving North Carolina. And of course, you know, I was accepted to many schools. FAMU was one, and they even wanted to bring me on a partial scholarship. And of course, you know, talking with my parents is like, out of state tuition is expensive. And so, again, money, part of it was the fear of leaving. I'm an only girl with 3 brothers. And so it was like, I've always been under mom and dad for the most part. And I just decided, I was like, I'm gonna hang here. And of course, at the time, coming out of high school, a lot of my background is in theater too. I did a lot of theater in high school and beyond high school, of course. And so one of the draws for North Carolina Central too was not just the music, but was the theater, the theater department. And so upon getting here, I did the unthinkable, which was to not declare my major as music. I was like, well, I'm gonna see how I feel and maybe go another direction. I don't know. And I met a voice professor by the name of Dr. Lynn Bridges, who, God rest her soul, who's no longer with us, but she was my first voice teacher here. And she heard me sing, and she asked me the question. She said, so when are you coming over to the department? And I said, what do you mean? And she said, why are you not, a music major? Yeah. And I said, well, I wanted to think about it. And she was like, what is there to think about? Like, why are you? She told me specifically, don't waste your time on anything else. Like, we can see this is a calling for you.
Absolutely.
A gift. So don't waste your time with anything else. Just do it. And so, of course, as fate would have it, I ended up becoming a part of the jazz studies program, music education. And the rest is history. And she was somewhat the catalyst for me making the final decision and saying, this is really what you want to do. You don't really want to do anything else. Although I could. The decision was made, and so the rest is history.
Oh my goodness. I do think that, just to paint a parallel here, I feel like you do run into a lot of people here at NCCU where they are some sort of like guidance to help you get to where you want to be. I feel like that's anywhere, period. But something about it just being in like whenever you're younger and you're just exploring and you're a sponge at the time, it's like, okay, I'm here to soak up any information and something just sticks.
Yes.
So I just think that is amazing. Is there any like other advice that she has like said to you that still like carries on in your life today? Or?
Yes. Oh gosh, lots of nuggets. She would always tell me, at the end of the day, trust your gut. She would always say that. Trust your gut. Continue to be authentically who you are. There's this saying that God can't bless who you pretend to be. So to be completely and authentically you. And she would always tell me that, in terms of singing, a lot of times we hear the Whitney Houstons and the Chaka Khans and the Aretha Franklins.
Absolutely.
And all of them are influences of mine.
Yeah.
And sometimes we want to mimic what they do and we want to sound like them. But her encouragement was, you have a voice that is unique to you.
Yep.
Use that voice so that people can readily identify who you are and not you sounding like someone else. And so I've really leaned into that and I embrace it very much.
Wow, yes. And I think that is like great advice, especially especially now there's like a thing with comparison culture all the time. And now in the age of social media, right? It's one of those things, but yeah, I think that is just amazing advice to stay authentic to yourself.
Yes.
So, with your music, you have a blend of jazz, soul, gospel, R&B. I want to know, like, how would you describe your sound to someone if they're hearing it for the first time?
I would say soul music that it has this old school familiarity, but this contemporary feel and blend, right?
Nice.
So it's a little bit of both. And it's very emotive. I don't know how else to sing. Again, I'm a product of the church. Yeah. And I'm, accustomed to when you sing, you feel what you sing, right? Mm-hmm. And there's also a saying that says what comes from the heart goes to the heart. Mm-hmm. And so I try not to, when I'm performing and singing, I try not to not feel. I always want to feel what it is I'm singing, because if I feel it, I know you will, Exactly. And and I enjoy it, I don't sing or perform anything that I'm unsure about, that I just don't vibe with, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's definitely got to be something I believe in, something I feel. And so I would definitely say soul music with a old school familiarity and a contemporary feel.
Yes, yeah. I love that so much. I think, not to be biased of any other singers who, practice jazz mm-hmm. or, pop or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I just think it's something so different about vocalists mm-hmm. who just came from the church.
Absolutely.
And now they're just singing. It sounds different.
Yeah.
So I think that is very, very beautiful.
Thank you.
So I want to know, at what point did you feel like you had truly found your artistic voice?
Ooh, wow. Let's see. I would say it honestly didn't come until later. And I did after college. Yeah.
Wow.
And I did a lot of singing, even in college. True story. Tom Brown, who is the creator of Jamaica Funk, was the trumpet instructor here. And I would take, of course, I played trumpet in the high school band, Hillside High School, Marching Hornets. Hornet Pride, I should say.
Nice.
And as you can see, music was just a part of my life in general. And so, but I learned to, of course, play trumpet. I started playing in middle school. Mm-hmm. I initially was playing, I think, violin. And little known fact, I played trumpet. And when I got to college, Tom Brown was the trumpet instructor at the time. And so I was just taking applied lessons from him, because I was like, well, it's a skill I want to keep up. I tried to do marching band here at Central, but I just wasn't feeling the vibe.
Yes.
And that's no shade to our sound machine, because right, exactly. I absolutely adore them. But I just wasn't feeling the vibe. It wasn't like high school to me. And so I, of course, focused and honed in on the voice. Obviously, I was a voice major, and but I wanted to keep that skill up. And so Tom Brown, I ended up working with him, and he afforded me the opportunity to work with him and Roy Ayers, who is no longer with us, right? At the age of what? I was 19, I think, at the time, 19, 20, somewhere in there. But yeah, and he gave me my first opportunity to do something on that level, that big. And so with that caliber of artist. And so even then it was like, oh my God, where am I, still figuring it out. Right. Yeah. And I would dare to say that after college, after, undergrad, is when I really began to hone in. I started working with a group of friends. We had a band called Dirty Soul, which we're getting together for a reunion, guys. I hope you hear this.
Hey, nice.
We will do a reunion hopefully sometime this year. But I really started to really, really hone in on things. And I like to tell the story that I honestly didn't choose artistry. It chose me. Because all I've ever said is, I want to sing. Yeah. Literally, that's it. I want to sing. And I just feel like God has afforded me opportunities to do that. Absolutely. And so, but yeah, not until after undergrad, I think, is when it started to really translate and happen for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is phenomenal. I mean, I think I'm just still stuck on you performing with Roy Ayers at 19.
Yeah, at 19. Yep. Wow. Tom Brown gave me my first opportunity, and it was amazing.
Gosh, yes. And I think that's why they say, it's not what you know, it's who you know sometimes.
It's who you know.
Right?
Absolutely.
And it's nice to know that you were networking across with your friends and created, a group in that way. And I think that is what the magical part of being a creative, and just having people around you
Absolutely.
who also like have like those same values of like, either wanting to get to the same place, or either, just having that love for the craft.
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
that way. That's amazing. Okay, so yes, we've talked about you working with artists such as Roy Ayers, and then I also noticed that you worked with the foreign exchange as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me about how that relationship formed.
A lot of history there.
Like?
The short story is Fonte Coleman, who is one half of the foreign exchange. The Grammy nominated foreign exchange.
Exactly.
I always like to say that because I love to give people their flowers, and I'm really proud of them for all that they've accomplished. But Fonte Coleman and I met here at North Carolina Central University in undergrad.
Yes.
We were both class of 97. We came in that same year. And we met then and, went about our way. We were obviously, I was a music major. I think Fonte took music industry courses or a course or two at the time that we were offering, like the music, I think it was a music business track. And there was a music industry course that we could take. I never formally actually took the class. I just sat in it, right? Because the people that were teaching it were like, oh gosh, how can I say this? They were our professors, but they were more like family to us.
Got you.
Because they would give us a swift kick in the butt if we weren't doing not just the practicing of the music, practicing, going to our classes, doing the things, but they would also like give us a swift kick in the butt to say, hey, look, this is happening outside here. And you as a musician, as, an aspiring artist, you should be doing these things, right? And so that is literally how we met one another. And then, of course, in undergrad, I sang all over campus. Yeah. Cafeteria, I was everywhere. All of the events on campus, Tamisha Waden was singing. You hear me? And Fonte can back this up because he was there. And so that is how I met him, along with the Ninth Wonder, who at the time was a student here, and Pooh, who's also a part of the ensemble that was Lil Brother, or that is Lil Brother, I should say. Exactly. And so we all met in undergrad. And I like to say, short story, the rest is history. And we weren't in each other's lives all the time, but I've consistently followed their career and the things that they've done. And these guys have done some amazing things. And so as fate would have it, years later, 2014, or actually before 2014, I worked with them in 2004. They were performing, I think, at the time, Cocoa Booth Amphitheater, I think. And I think it had a different name at the time. And so I got called to work with them. I worked with them on that particular show. And then some years would pass. I would run into Fonte. By that time, he had been married and had kids and all the things. And Tamisha was still single with no kids. And so we just kind of reconnected. And then the following year, which was 2014, he reached out and said, hey, we got a spot, And I'm like, okay, cool. And, at the time I was working at NCCU and I didn't know how things would go, but I approached at the time, my director. I was working in the IT department and told her what offer had been submitted to me. And she was like, you got to take this. Like, I can see if it was
lifetime almost,
right. It was like, I can see if it was a hobby or something, but this is something that we obviously can see you're great at, and it's not a hobby. This is, a career move for you. So they gave me their blessing and they let me go on tour. Yeah. And the rest is history. Then would come all the shows and the touring life with the foreign exchange, which was hilarious. A lot of fun we had, a lot of fun. A lot of fun. But he and Nicolay have been such a blessing. Yeah. Just a blessing. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. And I think, that's a nice thing about, having that support around you.
Absolutely.
And also, consistency too at the same time, because it's like, okay, we reached out to Tamisha because we can trust her. We know that she's talented, number one, but it's also like, we know that she's eager. We know that this is what she wants. So I think that, that's so great. Yeah. I want to ask you, like, you went on tour, but what is one of like your favorite cities that you toured with them? Or could you share a tour story?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to say everywhere we went was amazing. Let's see, shows that stick out in my mind. The very first one, which was in Charlotte. That was the first place I went with them. I wouldn't say green. Because I had worked with, artists before, but mostly on the gospel side. So let's be clear about that. Okay. It wasn't very much of what I had done was not on the secular side, but on the gospel side. I did work very briefly with Tony Terry. Now, some people may say, Tamisha, you're dating yourself. Some people may not even know who that is. But I will tell you this. Go find out who Tony Terry is. Okay? Let me tell you. R&B crooner. King, honey. Amazing vocals. But I got an opportunity to work with him and a couple of other artists before working with the Foreign Exchange and all of the other artists I ended up working with. Marion Meadows, Bob Baldwin, who are like smooth jazz artists, or I should just say jazz artists. But they are usually grouped with the smooth jazz artists. So that would be like people I worked with before working with the Foreign Exchange. But I want to say Charlotte was memorable. Oh, my gosh. We were at the El Rey in Los Angeles. Now, that is a memorable show because it was my first time meeting an artist who I loved, absolutely loved. And I think I can call you friend now, friend. Her name is Cy Smith, and she's out of Los Angeles. That's her base, but she tours and travels with everybody. Oh, my gosh. Wow. And she does her own music, which was, of course, why she was my favorite. I fell in love with her music. Yeah. And that show was memorable because I got to meet her, but it was also probably my first time. Well, no, I know it was my first time playing the Airway Theater there. And it was a beautiful moment. Like, we got to share a mic on stage, me and Cy, because Fonte invited her on stage. She came and did the song, one of the songs, because I think we were touring at the time, the album Love and Flying Colors. And I wasn't on that record. I was just, on the tour with them at that time. Gotcha. And then I would come later, records would come later that I would be recording on. And so just a fun time. And then I won't give you all the details here, but I will say Amsterdam was the bomb. We went over to Europe and we had such an amazing time. Oh my gosh. Amazing. A ball in the blast. Yeah. So many tour stories I can tell you.
Yes. I want to ask you about, like, how important is collaboration, especially whenever you are in this industry?
Collaboration is extremely important. Yeah. I think reaching across the aisle to work with others, not just because you want the most famous on your record, but to share ideas. That's how we learn. That's how we grow, right? Working with others, collaborating with them, contributing to what they have, and vice versa, them contributing to what you have. I think it is it's a two-way street, and I think it's very important, and I think it's very essential to artistry. How else do we learn and grow? Like, we can do the one-to-one as far as like learning from a computer or something like that, or a class. But I think is the better or the best learning comes from working with others. Exactly. And again, being able to contribute to one another, Yeah. And I can honestly say everybody that I've had the opportunity to work with, good or bad, I've learned something, really. I've learned something. And I've grown from the collaboration and or just the connection.
Yeah, absolutely. So, was it like a journey for you to, like, was it hard for you to kind of like network or collaborate with people, or did it just fall easily? No,
it has, honestly, I will say this. I have never actually tried to collaborate with people. A lot of times it has ended up happening because I'm so connected to so many different people.
Yes.
A lot of times it has just ended up happening for me. Thank you, God.
Yes.
Because it doesn't always happen that way, especially if you are new to the game and you don't really know people like that. I will tell you this, your work speaks for itself. If people feel and vibe with what you're doing, that you don't have to sometimes worry about reaching out to people. But that's not to say don't reach out to people. You should. If that's somebody that you want to connect with and you want to work with, definitely reach out. You never know the possibilities that could come about, from that. God, I can tell you so many stories how that's happened for me. I'll give you one. There is an artist here in Durham that has become one of like my best friends. His name is Phil Cook, and he has become like, I won't say he's become family. He really has. Wow. But just my connection with working with him ended me up on so many different records. Wow. Yeah. Not only did it translate to records, but it translated to me having an opportunity to travel to New York to NBC Studios. I performed on Seth Meyers' late night show with him and another Grammy-nominated artist right here in Durham. His name is MC Taylor. Mike Taylor, how are you? But I got to travel with them to New York, and we performed. Obviously, it was his performance, but I was featured on this particular song, and so they called and said, hey, we want you to come to New York with us. And I went to New York, and I performed on late night television. Wow. But that would also translate a little later to them doing CBS This Mornings with Gayle King. They performed on that show. I got invited back to perform with them on that show. So you see how that works? Yeah. That connection with Phil Cook led me to all those things. And then it would later lead me to the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville, Tennessee, where myself, Mavis Swan Poole, who is also another native of Durham, graduate of North Carolina Central University's music department.
The magic that comes out of North Carolina Central.
I'm telling you, people just don't even understand the hub, the connection and the hub that NCCU is. Oh my gosh. But that would later lead me, like I said, to the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville, Tennessee, to serenade Mavis Staples for her 80th birthday. Wow. And when I tell you I'm on stage with big names in country music, like seriously. Wow. Goodness. Those opportunities come from the networking, the collaborating, the working with all of these other artists that honestly, I feel like just kind of was a blessing. They just kind of fell in my lap. You know what I mean? But all of that to say, collaboration is super, super important.
It's key, yes. And I think even like the power in saying yes to things, of course you have to have some discernment on things.
Absolutely.
But I think it's like, in your gut, where even you were talking about earlier with fear. Yeah. And it's like sticking to, almost like chasing after that is like letting you know, hey, this is like confirmation that maybe this is the right path for you. Correct. Even if you feel afraid to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's amazing. Are going to talk about your time here at WNCU because it's so special. Oh my gosh. Many people know you as an artist, but you have spent time, behind the mic here at WNCU. Yes. Tell me about like your journey here, and how did becoming even like a radio personality deepen your appreciation for music?
Let me start by saying it was probably, for the year 2025, the single most precious moment that has happened to me in a very long time. And I say precious because it came through being connected to somebody who offered the opportunity. Yeah. The opportunity initially was for someone else, but they didn't see themselves in it, and they asked me about it. And I said, oh, absolutely. Obviously I don't go into things always, like, oh, I can do this. Right, yeah. Sometimes there's fear or whatever. But again, that came through connection. But it was probably one of the best experiences of my life. Getting to be behind the mic and talk about the very thing that I love.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Listen, I have also said any day y'all want me back, I'm
no,
coming back.
Exactly.
But no, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I would say probably one of the things I enjoyed most was being able to play and talk about the music, because some of the artists that I was playing or spinning their music, I know them personally.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is amazing. Like, I get to talk about the very thing that I really, really love.
Yes.
And I also get to encourage people to listen. Music is spiritual, and it is, how can I say? It's just, it can be heavy. It can be so many different things,
right.
But it is just a beautiful, beautiful art form. And it just, I don't know. I just love it. And I just enjoyed talking to the people. Sometimes I would get phone calls and saying, I know I played Poinciana by, Abdul. I forgot the artist name just in this moment, but I remember playing his record, Poinciana. Yeah. And I got someone calling from the Baltimore area.
Wow.
And when I talked to this young man, he said, and now anybody that would play this record, he said, you know a little something about something. And I said, yes, sir, I do. And he said, this is one of my favorite records. He said, I have this album, and I spin this album regularly in my house, you know. And he called and he thanked me. It's those little things. Oh, my God, just made the experience all the more just exciting and wonderful for me. But it was, I don't know. It changed my life. I will say that. Being able to sit behind the mic and talk about the music that I love, jazz and R&B classics and just all the things, all the music I grew up with.
Right. Yes, exactly. I mean, music is a universal language. And I think even, through radio, I mean, I know that we have streaming now and everything like that, but there's something about radio where you are able to, hear somebody else talk about it and feel like you're relating to whoever is out there listening.
Absolutely.
It's like, I don't know if it's fulfilling,
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of music, I want to talk about your music.
Okay.
So you had your latest single, Happy for Me. And yeah, it is a deeply personal song. What inspired the song?
So the song was inspired by a conversation between friends. So I have a friend. His name is Harold Simmons, but he goes by Anthony Wright because he's a songwriter and an incredible songwriter at that. And I think the track was already created by producer, Grammy-nominated producer, Mike Blaze. I think he already had the track, but myself and my friend Harold were having a conversation. I think at the time I was in a relationship, and I just wasn't getting what I thought I should get. Right. Later to find out that this is just who this person is, But that's how the song came about. We literally were having a conversation about, I was like, I said, when I have moments and I'm excited, about things that, have happened for me, and I'm all excited and like, oh my God, the world is happening and it's just, everything's great. Then I would get this response like, oh, that's good.
No substance, no anything like that. Yeah.
Just didn't seem excited for me or happy for me.
Yeah, the support.
So
no support.
So that is literally how that song was born. And like I said, Harold's a phenomenal writer. Oh God, he's a phenomenal writer. And he and I both put pen to pad, and that's what we all ended up with, Yeah. And later on, I think Darian Alexander, who plays bass on this record, would come in and do some other creative things with, the bass and all of that. And
there's this quote from Carrie Fisher. I'm a filmmaker.
Also. Yes.
But Carrie Fisher said something about, turn like a broken heart into art.
Yes.
Or something like that. And I think that just resonates with a lot of people who are just, creatives. And it's, putting your experiences all into your music, all into your craft, whatever that it is, and making something, even if it isn't like for everybody else, for yourself, but it's making it and then knowing that somebody else is going through the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think that is like the most like just a phenomenal thing.
Yes,
to be honest.
Definitely is. And then later, something miraculous happened after right before we actually got ready to drop the song.
Yeah.
So, can I say?
Yeah. I
didn't know. I didn't want to jump the gun
No,
if you were going to talk about that. But before we got ready to release it,
yeah,
I think it was before my birthday that I got the phone call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Before my birthday, I got the phone call last year. A little bit before. It was early July, maybe the end of June, early July, that the song had been picked up for a movie. And so I was like, nah, you kidding, you're lying. And he's like, no, it really is.
Oh my goodness.
And so he then began to tell me all, the things. And I said, okay, so the song is not even, we don't even have artwork. The song was finished,
yes.
As far as the mixing and mastering, the recording, all of that was done. But we didn't have artwork for it. And so I was like, how are we gonna do this?
Exactly.
So it was like, okay, I had to, think quick on my feet, in terms of an image to use for the recording. And I had done a photo shoot, but we didn't think any of those photos depicted,
the song.
Yeah. And so literally I found an image and I had a graphic designer do some colors, and the colors we chose were like a pink and a turquoise, because to me, those feelings are like, blue, like maybe I'm feeling blue. I don't know. Yeah. That was my thought process behind it. But we got the artwork ready, and I hired somebody to work with me because I was like, we got to market it.
Yeah.
We got to market it, And so we did that. And then the final drop was the movie was to be released on August 17th. So I was like, ooh, leading up to that time, I really got to do some work. So again, I hired somebody to help me do the marketing, and they were able to help me, put out that, hey, I got a new single coming out. But the kicker to it was, it's not just coming out, it's coming out in this movie. And so that was the big coup de grace, Wow. So when we dropped it, it ended up being movie called Tempted by Love, that is written by writer Terry McMillan on Lifetime. Exactly. And so Tempted by Love, it is now out on Netflix, and people are discovering this movie. Yes. And because they're discovering the movie, they're discovering the song. Exactly. Yes. Which is so amazing to me. And it's always great when people come back and say, man, I heard the song in the movie. Like, I go on my YouTube right now and somebody has said, Netflix bought me here, or I watched the movie and this song just bought a calm and I had to find it. And so they've gone and they're seeking it out and they're finding all about the song and they're finding about me, in the process. And so it's great. I'll tell you.
Oh my God.
Yep. Having a sync license in a movie. So y'all go watch it. Right. It is on Netflix. Go support the song.
Exactly. Support the song, support the movie, all of that. I think it's just, wow. So wait, okay, because I'm curious. Okay, who, I guess, was it like sent off somewhere? Like whenever you finish the song, like how does that work? I'm just always curious.
So it's a sync license, and honestly, I will be very truthful with you. I don't even know all the process. What I know is this: if you are trying to submit songs for sync license, there are companies that do this specifically. What I've been told is that when you are endeavoring to do this, you have to make sure that not only is your song, I don't want to say perfection, but you want to make sure that it is recorded, a clean recording, solid recording, right? Yeah. But you want to make sure that your metadata, which is all of your information, when somebody goes to look your song up, they want to see, it is this artist, it's this blah, 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 all the details that should be there.
All the credits.
Who the artist is, right, all the credits. They don't want to have to go search for information. If they got to do that,
it's out.
Yeah. you're going to be thrown out of the process, right? So that's my word to everybody who's endeavoring to do this.
Yes.
But honestly, mine came through and by the producer of the song, Mike Blaze. Mike has a way of, oh my gosh, I don't know. He's so connected. It's hard to figure out how and why, and when things happen, we just know they happen.
Yes.
And he actually is connected to the person that submitted the song for the movie. Little did we know it would be chosen, but it was. And so, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's the story. So, yeah.
Oh, that is so interesting. And like, yeah, I just feel like that is like a huge accomplishment, you know, in a lot of ways. But
It is, indeed.
I definitely want to ask you, like, when you look back, what is something that you're most proud of on your musical journey? I mean, I'm pretty sure you're still on it.
Yes,
but
definitely. It's, you know, I'm definitely still evolving and still on the journey. I've had to take a break. Last year, I had a couple of surgeries that did not afford me the opportunity to really work like I really wanted to musically. I've continued to write, but I had to take a break. Sometimes the body requires that, and if you don't, it will shut you down, right? I've had that experience too. You don't want to do that. So, but for me, I am proud that I'm still here. I want to say my professional music career started at like 14 because I started recording professionally, you know, on the gospel side at the age of 14. It's a long story. The brief of it is I recorded with this group called the Power of Worship Ensemble, and the leading song was the song I led. Little did we know that it would be the one song that translated with listeners. I was still in high school, and I will never forget Sunday morning we were traveling to church, and Roland Perry, hey Roland, who also works in the Durham Public Schools, and is still mentoring kids. He's still working musically, you know, still writing, all the things. But he did the interview, and amazingly enough, when he told them this young lady is a high school student, that people were in shock, like really in shock, because they're like, where's this big voice coming from? Like, who is this lady? But it's a high school student. And so, but I'm proud of continuing to be here, being consistent, because there's so many things that happen in and over the journey of artistry, of just working as a musician in general, that will make you want to quit. You find that people are not as integral as you think they're going to be, as you want them to be. And you run into so many different roadblocks. But if you can stay the course and remember why you're here, why you do this, that's a blessing. So I'm most proud of continuing to stay the course and to be here, whether, you know, I'm showing up and performing. I'm not always releasing music, but I do still perform quite a bit. There is something on the horizon. I won't talk about that today, but there is something on the horizon, just FYI, everybody. So stay tuned.
Well, yes. I mean, is there, anything that you can share that's maybe what's next for Tamisha Waden by any chance?
Well, what's next is an EP drop. So that is coming. I have quite a few visuals that's coming as well. I like to do mashups and arrangements of a lot of music. And if you've ever listened to me live, I've come to shows, you would have heard some of these arrangements. But this is just something like me and some of the musicians, we just do. We just like revising, revamping, rearranging songs, of other artists that have been mentors to us and or influences for us, along our journey. And so, I'm working on some things. I'll say that.
I'm excited. Definitely. Okay. Last question that I want to ask you. What is advice you would give to young artists from Durham or from wherever? Doesn't have to be from Durham, but who they're trying to find their own voice. What advice would you give to them?
Trust yourself. Trust yourself. And I will also say this. The way you find your voice is you have to experiment. You got to try things. But not just that, hone your craft. If this is something you want to do and you are serious about it, you cannot do it if you do not hone your craft. You have to do that. Obviously, I chose to go to school and study. That may not be everybody's path.
Yeah.
However, any and everything you can learn about it, do it. Even if it's taking a class here and there, do it. If they are having jam sessions, go be a part of the jam sessions. Now, I love the jam sessions. It's the open mics I don't love that much, but I have had to force myself to go and do those as well. But it's all a part of the process. It's all a part of learning, and growing and evolving, in your artistry. But hone your craft and be true to you. Again, God cannot bless who you pretend to be. So be you authentically. Okay, so that we recognize who you are when you come on the scene. We know you from a Jill Scott, or from a who else? A Lettucey, or
a Tamisha Waden.
Exactly, or we know you from me. You know what I mean? So be authentically who you are. Be true to your craft. I will say that and let that be.
Yes. Well, this is a great stopping point. I appreciate you for coming on and speaking with us today, Tamisha.
Absolutely.
It's really nice having you back.
Yes. Glad to be back.